All right. I'm just going to do a very short segment, a bonus segment here, okay? Because one of the more ignorant things that I'm hearing online now is the idea, the romantic notion of the street fight, okay? That when you're in a street fight, your opponent is this vicious criminal who, unless you have some way, can destroy you in a multitude of ways, and you'll never understand it. And he may have weapons, and he's just adverse to pain and nothing. Let me tell you something, okay? First of all, you can avoid a lot of those situations by knowing where you go, okay? And not going to certain places, like places I used to work, for example, as a bouncer. Any place that has a bouncer, you don't want to go. Very simple, okay? Another thing about it is the range of people you will have conflict with in those situations varies tremendously. Very seldom do you get somebody who's very capable, because people who are capable generally, unless they have some motive, like they want to rob you, they want to have some goal in mind, will not get into that situation because the laws and such will catch up to them. So, what happens when you get into something with a person like that? Well, first of all, it's part of being a martial artist, it's part of understanding weapons, but self awareness, okay? You have to be understanding about your distance and your surroundings. And you have to look at what people do, where their hands are going, if they're favoring something that way, because it means they might have a weapon. Are there friends around? But these are all things any idiot on YouTube can tell you, so I'm not going to go there. Here's my point to you. Most street fighters are one dimensional, violent individuals who are capable of doing one or two things very well. Okay? And in what goes with that is they have a script. They have a certain thing that sets the situation up. If you've ever lived in the cities and stuff, I'm going to give you a little tidbit here, okay? When somebody's mugged or something, you have to fall into the script, okay? Because that sets everything in motion, all right? And a perfect example of that is somebody comes up, hey man, you got a cigarette? Okay, how do you respond to that? All right? Very important, depending on the circumstance. Okay? So, most situations like that can be assessed pretty early on. And if you see somebody who looks to be a very violent human being, it gets into your understanding of weapons, okay? How you can control them, hold them, use them in a way that you don't necessarily have to inflict fatal damage, which takes a lot of training. But that's the thing. If you study a martial art, you can learn these things. And these other people, they'll tell you can't. No, no, no. The person who's trying to kill you, attacking you, you cannot. If you take that knife out, you have to kill. No. If you understand how to use your weapons, you can be very successful. It takes training. It takes work. Okay? So, that's myth of the street fighter as this violent individual who is stalking you, and it's pretty much the reality is there's a very small population within that group who are capable of that. And most of them, if you see some situation developing, you can avoid it a lot more than most people will tell you can. This is just something I can tell you from experience. Okay? I'll give you one quick tip on that. Okay? I'll give you a strategy. I've always referred to it as the non sequitur. Okay? So, some guy comes up and he's citing you out. You maybe even see his friend across the street. Yo, man, you got a cigarette? You turn around and you just kind of look at him and go, yes, we have no bananas. Yes, we have none today. Yes. You've just fucked up his script, okay? And then maybe you say, oh man, I remember you. Dude, did you go to high school back in Carver? Dude, was that your brother? Now, you see what's happening? You fucked up his script. Let me tell you something. It works, okay? And he'll go to somebody else. All right, man. No. It's all right. Have a good night. No, I'm sorry. I don't have a cigarette, too. Sorry. I just thought, your brother used to like that song. You had a brother, Okay, do shit that is off the predictable path, and you throw people. I'll give you one more example of that. Perfect example. We used to do a lot of breaking when I did my karate. We fought and we broke stuff, okay? And then that was what we did. We did maybe one kata, but everything was to fight and to break, so you could know that you had the mental finesse to go through a target, and boom. Anyway, there was some cinder blocks on the street, and I was coming out from work, bouncing, and 3 guys had an altercation. They were looking for trouble, and they recognized me. So they sort of came up to me, and I could see, okay, might get ugly. I swear, these people, they only come out when I'm doing a video. Can you hear that voice back there? Only. I mean, every other fucking time that I'm out here, but just when I'm doing a video, boom. It never fails, okay? Never. Anyway, I digress. So I saw it was getting ugly, and they were coming up to me sort of in that passe mood. See the 2 guys trying to outflank half a circle. So I'm like, hey, guys, what's up? And they were just talking about, man, what happened, blah, 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 blah. So I said, look, I'm going to show you a trick. They're looking at me like, the fuck is this guy? So I took the blocks I had. I put them up one on top of the other. I said, watch, I'm going to break this with this. And they're like, no way, man, you can't do that. No. So sure enough, boom, I break the brick. They're like, oh my God, man. Anyway, they were just besides themselves, and we became great friends, Like, I mean, all right, guys, have a good night, man. I'm sorry things didn't go for you good in the club. Come back tomorrow. I'll take care of you. I'll get you in with no charge or something. It's all good, If you can learn that technique, you can save your ass a lot, okay? So there's your tip for the night. Oos.